Calandri.
Here.
Director Yurosek.
Here.
Director Parris.
Here.
Phyllis Stanton.
Here.
Kate White.
Here.
And Craig Parton.
Here.
And we also have Pete Thompson. And I believe Matt is on the phone.
Yes, good morning. Thank you, Patty.
Patty, can you check what alternates are? Okay.
Sure. Angelica, are you on the line?
I am. Good morning.
Angelica, and then Adrian.
Thank you. We're now on item 3, adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda? Motion made by Kathy. Is there a second? Second by John. Is there any discussion?
Adrian's on.
Hearing no discussion, all in favor of the motion to adopt the agenda by roll call vote?
Director MaLaren.
Yes.
Director Ariki.
Yes.
Director Calandri.
Yes.
Director Yurosek.
Yes.
And Director Parris.
Motion carried unanimously. We're now on item 4, public comments for non-agenda items. Are there any public comments for non-agenda items? Going once. Going twice. Going. We're now on special presentations. There are none, and now we're on the consent agenda. Is there a motion? And do you have any presentation? Either on the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A through E?
So moved.
Motion made by Kathy. Is there a second? Oh, second. Second by Derek. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of the motion by roll call vote?
Director MaLaren.
Yes.
Director Ariki.
Yes.
Director Calandri.
Yes.
Director Yurosek.
Yes.
Director Parris.
Yes, motion is carried unanimously. We're now on advisory committee report. And the report is on page 33. If you take a moment to review.
Hi, this is James. Can you hear me?
Yeah, James, are you on?
Yes, sorry, I have 2 speakers going. Yes, the report, I believe, speaks for itself. But if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Great.
Question?
Any questions? No, good job. James, you're off the hook.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're on administrative committee report, and that would be your administrative committee.
Matt, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I could give a recap of the administrative committee. So we met last Friday, directors of Ariki and Yurosek. We went through the agenda for today, spent a little bit of time going through the payment of bills that was just approved, as well as that committee had some comments on the AR report in the financials. So we're going to focus on that a little bit next month. And then we also talked about the upcoming payment settlement agreement on the agenda today. And that's about it, unless the committee has anything to add.
Matt, this is Derek. I'll just add that I was the one that brought up the AR. We do have over $900,000 that's over 90 days. There was good explanation by staff and by council of what they're doing and progressing, but I think it's important to make the board as well as the public aware that we do have, I know probably bad actors is the wrong word to say, but people that aren't selling up, and staff and council's working hard to get those cleared up.
Thank you. Any other comments? Any discussion? Hearing none, we're on item 9, public hearing to consider amendment to section 6 of the Antelope Watermaster Rules and Regulations, Sub-Era Advisory Management Committee, and that's going to be our general counsel, and I guess we will need a motion to open the public hearing. Is that correct? Yes. A motion to open.
I will make that motion.
Motion made by Derek. Is there a second?
Second by Adam.
Second by Adam. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of the motion to open the public hearing regarding amendment to section 6 by roll call vote.
Director McLaren?
Yes.
Director Ariki?
Yes.
Director Calandri?
Yes.
Director Yurosek?
Yes.
Director Parris?
Yes, motion is carried unanimously. Public hearing is open.
Yes, I'll have a couple of introductory comments. Craig Parton for the Watermaster. This is language on page 37 and 38 of the resolution that the board has seen, at least in the last two board meetings. There's nothing unusual about it. We've discussed it. I even thought we were voting on it last month, but it was a month ahead of schedule. And the purpose is to give an avenue for the addressing of sub-area specific concerns and to wrap that into the advisory committee process on a twice-a-year basis. And so that's the introduction. It's an amendment to the regulations. I think it's been vetted with the advisory committee and with the board, and the public's heard of it, but we're certainly open to comments from the public on it.
Thank you, Craig. And advisory committee, James, do you have any comments on item 9?
No, I have no comment.
Thank you. And then public comments, anybody from the public, would you like to comment during the public hearing on amendment to section 6? I'm sorry, is I hear Adrian on the line?
Yes, I had to join on the phone. For some reason, my computer's not working.
Okay, welcome, and right now we're on the public hearing to amendment to section 6. And Adrian, I think you need to mute your phone because we're getting feedback from you. Thank you. Any other public comments? Hearing no public comments, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
We'll make that motion.
Motion made by Eric, second by Adam, correct?
Yes.
Second by Adam to close the public hearing. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of the motion to close the public hearing by roll call vote?
Director McLaren?
Yes.
Director Ariki?
Yes.
Director Calandri?
Yes.
Director Yurosek?
Yes.
Director Parris?
Yes, motion carried unanimously. We're now on item 10, consideration of possible action to approve the amendment to section 6 of the Antelope Watermaster Rules and Regulations. And that is going to be resolution number R2252. Is there a motion to approve resolution number R2252? Motion made by John. Is there a second? Second by Kathy. Is there a discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of the motion to approve resolution number R2252, the amendment to section 6 of the Antelope Watermaster Rules by roll call vote?
Director McLaren?
Yes.
Director Ariki?
Yes.
Director Calandri?
Yes.
Director Yurosek?
Yes.
Director Parris?
Yes, motion carried unanimously to approve resolution number R2252. We're now on item 11, consideration of possible action on new production applications. And that is going to be our engineer.
Hello. Hi, good morning. I'm Arden with Todd Groundwater, and I'm going to be reviewing the two applications, the new production applications that we have for today. And it's looking like on the screen we have two production applications. The first one is for Corona. And it's not the Sanchez application, but I believe the APN and the location is correct. So if you go to, in the packet, page 40, and in the application, in the PDF, it's page 43. This is for Abraham Corona. And yes, all of that information is correct, shown in the PowerPoint. So this is for 1.5 acre feet per year for domestic use in the southeast subbasin. And Mr. Corona is planning to use this for a 1,700 square foot single family home, and also irrigation of drought-resistant shade trees, flowers, and plants. And really, this is a standard application with no complications. The only thing is that it's noted that this was on property that was split recently. The parcel was 11010, and now it's 1117 and 1118. So if you Google it on one of the parcel maps, the exact parcel that the well will be on might not show up. But we have the exact location maps in the packet. And this was unanimously approved by the advisory committee. And given the small amount of water that it's requesting 1.5 acre feet per year, and also the commitment to pay a replacement water assessment, Todd Groundwater finds that the material injury will be negligible.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of Arden? Hearing no questions, is there a motion to approve resolution number R2253, the new production application for Abraham Corona? Motion made by Kathy, is there a second?
Second by Adam.
Too late, Adam. Second by John, sorry.
All right, we'll let John do it.
Good try, though.
All right.
Second by John, is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of the motion to approve resolution number R2253. Move the application for Abraham Corona by roll call vote.
Director McLaren?
Yes.
Director Ariki?
Yes.
Director Calandri?
Yes.
Director Yurosek?
Yes.
Director Parris?
Yes, motion carries unanimously. Now on item 11B.
So the second new production application that we have today is for Juan and Myra Estrada. They're also requesting 1.5 acre feet per year in the southeast sub-area. And this is for a 1,500 square foot single family home. And they're intending to use the water for irrigated landscaping of shade trees, flowers, and drought-resistant native plants. So for this application, the Estradas submitted a very similar application that was approved on April 2020. That application was for 1 acre feet per year for a well for their single family home. It would be the same home, and due to structural permitting issues with the county, they haven't been able to drill the well. So this is an application for that well on an adjacent parcel. However, they still want to keep the application for the previous well active while trying to resolve the permitting issues. And so we suggest that it's open until September 2023, or about another year. So the advisory committee did request some clarification on how this earlier approved application relates to this new application. And really, we included details about it because we want to note that a very similar well for the same use on nearby property was approved in April 2020, but it hasn't yet been drilled. So given all of this, Todd Groundwater considers that there will be negligible material injury because they're requesting a low amount of water, 1.5 acre feet per year, and they've also agreed to pay the replacement water assessment. And in the past, a similar application was approved. And the advisory committee voted 7 yes and 2 people abstained from voting for this.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
I have a couple questions. Unless I heard you wrong, you said in regards to the same house. Mm-hmm. A little ambiguous to me. It is 2 different parcels, and you made the statement that the parcels were adjacent, and then that they were close. Can you define what adjacent and close is?
Yes. So the house
I one down the street.
Yes, so the parcels are touching. There's one right next to the other. And on page 74 of the packet and 77 of the PDF, we show a map that has the original parcels and the new parcel directly to the east of the original parcel. And the well hasn't yet been drilled. So they're putting in the new application with the hope that, if things don't get resolved with the county, they can expedite their building of their house by having the well on this parcel if the other one doesn't work out.
So, plain clarification, I guess, from my perspective, does that mean they now will have permission to put a well on each parcel, or only one for the other?
Right now, yes, there are 2 applications that are open.
My understanding, okay.
Any other questions? Hearing no other questions.
Sorry, go ahead. Short on some of that. I guess one of my questions, this is, I think, a first, or as in maybe staff let me know, but let's make sure we're setting precedent here and evaluating it all. That basically they're requesting, the acre and a half foot for this property, as well as requesting, because I think technical issues or something with the county on the existing. If one does not get passed, are they going to forfeit the other, or are they wanting to continue to move forward with both?
I think the assumption is that they're only going to have one well, but I don't have that directly clarified in writing.
Just ask the board, do we feel comfortable that, I think the purpose of it is to have one well to serve one property. I don't know. I want to make sure we are setting precedent here that how we feel about that, and maybe an engineer for further feedback.
I think, according to the judgment, parcel can have a well. It's a well in trust. And I would go to council for clarification on that.
Good call. Thank you.
Frank, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's correct. I'd like to review. We did some pretty detailed memos concerning the issue of wells on adjacent parcels, common ownership. I didn't have a chance to review those before this, and I'm just wondering if, in an abundance of caution and recognizing Director Yurosek's comment that we haven't operated on this before, and it's a Willis class person, if we can put this over for 30 days to the next board meeting for a comment.
Hi, this is Phyllis Stanton. Can I just make a quick comment on that?
Go ahead, Phyllis.
Thank you. So the Estradas are in a difficult situation. They are trying very hard to get their house started and get water for the property. And the only reason that we don't have a well already from the first approved application is because of land clearance and setbacks and issues associated with the permitting of the well on the other parcel. And so all they're trying to do here is to give themselves the flexibility to get one well drilled for their single family home. And I recognize the issues associated with precedents and 2 wells, and are we approving 2 wells, et cetera. And so I wonder if we could handle this by asking staff to just get a confirmation in writing from the applicant that there will only be 1 well, and give them the opportunity to get going on getting water supply for their single-family home, given the small amounts associated with this application.
Good comment, Phyllis. Yeah, I don't want us to become LA County, so what's your thoughts? Sorry, Adam.
Forgive you.
I don't think we have the, I don't think we have the power to own
And I think Phil's comment is that if all they want is one well and get started on their house, I don't think we should delay them. And Angel, do you know more about this application?
Yeah, hi Rob. So yes, they do have permitting issues for a structure that they built on the original parcel, but they did apply. They were approved for new production on the original parcel, and they've also applied for new production on this new parcel. I don't think we can tell them that they can't drill a well on the original parcel if they choose to do so in the future, or this parcel. They own both properties.
Okay, got it. Any further discussion?
I just go back to council, felt like he was recommending that we postpone for a month and allow him to review. Any change of mind in your opinion based on what you're hearing from Phyllis? Craig?
I understand what Phyllis is saying, and certainly a letter to the applicant would be helpful. But if we can put this over for 30 days, I'd be much more comfortable weighing in on the situation.
They also have in their letter that that they suggest that the first new production application be kept active only for another year until the parties decide what to do. Would that be sufficient to cover the first one or any other question? Yeah, Todd Brown and a lot of has that written in their letter of approval.
Yeah, it's certainly a representation that we can rely on. Maybe what we can do is act on this subject to fulfilling the condition that it's absolutely crystal clear that they're only getting one well out of the situation, and they consent to that in writing.
Craig, what is the concern if they have two ATN numbers? Aren't they allowed to put in for two applications?
Yeah, but it seems like what they're doing is putting in two applications, willing to abandon one, depending on the circumstances. And I guess, do we want to be in a situation where we're spending time and resources on a situation that's where they've already gone down the path that they're going to abandon one eventually anyway? I'm just would like to review this in a little more detail.
Okay.
And you're right, Rob. I mean, they're entitled to a well on each parcel. It just seems a little bit of a bumpier road. I'd like to have a real clear assurance of what the intention is once they go forward with one well.
Angel, I don't know, Bill, is this the first time this application has come before?
Yes, this is the first time this application has come for us, but I just want to let everybody know that new production applications don't always move forward, and we do have, I think, to date, and the county's aware of, I think it's 6 applications that the applicant has told us they no longer want to move forward with their well. So we've notified the county, and those applications can no longer move forward with the county. So if that were the case with the second application or the first, I believe we'd treat it the same way.
Okay. Any change in your advice, Craig, or is it?
I'd prefer under this circumstances if we can put it over 30 days.
Yeah, that's fine. I have a problem with that. As a board, we're here to serve the public. These poor people are going through hell to get this thing. I don't think we have the right to ask what their intentions are. I can guarantee you that we've approved applications for all legal purposes. it is for a legal purpose for a home. I can't in good conscience put these people off in this sort of thing. And it's, in all due respect, Craig, you know how much I respect her.
No, I
live there with these people, and I know how hard it is for these guys to get well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
truthfully, is there anything that can happen within a month? And it's not like they're going to drill the well tomorrow.
I'd like to just say that they've already gone through months of delay, and so I haven't built a home myself, but I can imagine that there's a tremendous amount of scheduling and with supply chain problems and a lot of issues going on. I think that they are really desperate to get a well in the ground. I don't think they had anticipated drilling on this parcel. They were going to drill on the other parcel, and they've really had, a long time. This is since 2020, right? So I don't know the Estradas personally, but I do see the words desperate to get water in their applications, and I do have to say I feel like that if this were not, but for our obligation as the Watermaster engineer, but for our need to show that the water for both of these applications are being, used prudently, we would have approved both applications for new production for the sum of the two amounts of the applications, just because of the de minimis amount of water being requested. However, there's one house, and so at this point, our recommendations for water use would be one well, because that would certainly serve that one house. But they have the right to put in another application for an additional use of water if they can justify it. So I'm just trying to think of a way to move forward here so that we don't set precedent, but we do provide the opportunity for the Estradas to move.
Is the applicant on the phone or at the meeting?
The applicant is not at the meeting. I don't know if they're on the phone. Adam, applicant on the phone?
All right, or we could approve it conditionally pending Craig's finding. I mean, he may not find any discrepancies, and the approval will just stand.
A conditional approval.
Is that not a good thing?
No, it's, we can, the board can certainly do that and direct the council resolve any issues and bring to the board's attention if there are any issues, but it'll either be resolved or a problem brought up at the next meeting. But
right.
In the interim, you voted to approve the application, subject to those conditions.
Good solution, Adam. Is there a motion to approve resolution R2254 with the conditional approval that it final approval will be given by council on review? Will that work, or how do you want to word it, Craig?
Subject to review by council in the next month and reporting back to the board if there are any issues.
But the applicant can go ahead and start going for the permit to do their thing, and if there's a problem, we would let them know. I mean, that's the whole idea, is that they have approval so they can start bringing.
And could we perhaps just say something like they are only approved for one well, subject to review?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Craig, are you good with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it would be approval of resolution. Now, are you going to rewrite the resolution in some way, or this just has to be on the motion?
I don't think we need to rewrite the resolution. This would just be a condition on the record that I will endeavor to deal with whatever issues are in the next 30 days and report back if there's a problem with the approval we gave. Not anticipating any, but I want to look at this more closely.
And the applicant is, understands at this point they're only going to be drilling to one well.
Right.
And do we have that in our minutes? Will when the motion is done? Okay. Is there a motion to approve resolution 2254 with the conditions as discussed?
Vote to approve as modified.
Motion made by John, second by Kathy. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of the motion to approve resolution R2254, the new production application the Stratas based on the conditions in our minutes. By roll call vote.
Director McLaren?
Yes.
Director Ariki?
Yes.
Director Calandri?
Yes.
Director Yurosek?
Yes.
Director Parris?
Yes, motion carried unanimously. We're now on item 12, payment of settlement agreement, and that's going to be by our administrator. I'll defer to Matt if he's on the phone, otherwise I'll take it. Matt?
All right. Yeah, I'm here. Good morning. So on page 102 of your agenda packet is the proposed payment settlement agreement between the Antelope Valley Watermaster and Joshua Acres Mutual Water. They have some past due replacement water assessments, administrative assessments, and late fees that they've incurred in the amount of $69,168.20. You're probably asking why it's so much, and Joshua Acres is outside of the state water contractor boundaries. Therefore, they pay the higher replacement water assessment rate that the board has adopted. And they're proposing to pay off this debt through calendar year 2028. And on page 102 is the proposed payment schedule. They've agreed to pay $2,660.31 per quarter beginning the third quarter of 2022. And this was reviewed by the administrative committee, and they wanted to make sure that the party agrees to, continue paying the current administrative assessments and any replacement water assessment that they incur from this date going forward, so they don't get into the same situation in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And
Do we charge interest, Matt, on the outstanding balance?
so once this payment settlement agreement is put in place, then that stops the accrual of interest. So this amount does include late fees.
Right, but what incentive does the customer, or in this case the individual, have to make the payment? They can skip a month and wait another 3 months and pay it. You know what I mean?
Well, Craig can correct me. This is an agreement, so if
they're in breach, Director Ariki, the agreement provides all bets are off and we're back to square one in an enforcement action, getting the fees and costs that would come with that. So we are not in the business of looking past late payments or that kind of problem. We have a remedy that would be a breach of the agreement.
Okay, well that's good to hear. So if they miss a payment, then they're in default of the agreement.
Yeah.
And then we start the recalculation of everything, interest and everything from scratch, right?
All fees are on the table at that point.
All right. And then let's say that they say, okay, we'll pay you the $300 or $200 of interest. Do we then resume the same agreement, or do we get into another agreement, or we tell them, well, you defaulted, we're not going to get into an agreement with you?
I think we face that when the time comes, but my inclination would be probably an amendment to the agreement. would be sufficient. If we're continuing the relationship of a settlement with them. There's really two paths, the settlement option with payments, or we enforce separately by litigation.
The reason I bring this up, Craig, is because I want to remind everybody that this is a conciliatory part on our part, a conciliatory thing on our part to help people pay the bill. It shouldn't be a way for people just to drag their feet paying what they owe.
Thank you, Adam.
Yeah, agree.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, hearing no other questions, is there a motion to approve the payment settlement agreement item as well? Derek, I'll make that motion. Motion made by Derek. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Kathy. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of the motion to approve the settlement agreement. There's Joshua Acres Mutual Water Company by roll call vote.
Director McLaren?
Yes.
Director Ariki?
Yes.
Director Calandri?
Yes.
Director Yurosek?
Yes.
Director Parris?
Yes, motion carries unanimously. So now on the election results and filing a declaration, item 13.
Yes, at page 107 and following, we submitted the results of the landowner election to the court as we're required to do. And the voting calculations are part of the submission to the court. And that is found on 107 through 115 or so. But that was submitted. We don't get approval of the court for this. It's just a matter of information that we submit in a filing with the court. So that's an item of information.
Thank you, Craig. No action needs to be taken at this time.
Correct.
And if I could just add that, so this means the results are included in the packet, and Brandon Calandri will take the seat on the board beginning in September, as well as the primary and secondary alternates of Adrian, Rekha, and Angelica Martin.
Outstanding. Congratulations, everyone.
Congratulations.
You're going to be missed, John. Great replacement.
I think we'll keep you posted.
Thank you for your service. I know for this board, Derek, as well as for all the landowners. So we appreciate it.
Well, at this time, and I'm going to thank the people 6 years ago that people we honored on the board, the people that at 30 years ago we were at odds with each other and getting the task to 5-0 votes on everything. It's been wonderful experience. Well, thank everyone that did it for me originally and the board.
You've been here since the beginning and have really done an outstanding job, and really appreciate your service to the community. We would not have been here today without you on this board. Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we at the point where we say nice words about John?
Absolutely. John, yeah, we're going to adjourn today in honor of John, so you can say some nice words then too.
Then too? Okay. Should I wait until then or say it now?
Let's wait till John then, and we'll kind of stand into all the nice comments, and so John feels good throughout the meeting.
Okay.
Administrator's report.
The only thing I have to report, unless Steve would like to add anything, is that the administrative staff is starting to work on the 2023 administrative budget for the Watermaster, and we plan on going over a draft of that proposed budget with the administrative committee next month. So that's all I have to add.
Great, thank you, Matt. And then Watermaster Engineer report.
Yes, hi, it's Phyllis Spannon with Todd Groundwater. I will handle this today. We just have a couple of items. The first being the table that we always provide that has been updated as of August 2nd, 2022, of new production to date and qualified small pumpers to date. There are no changes to the qualified small pumpers since last month's table. The new production has been updated to include the 3 new production applications that were approved in July. Any questions on this? Hearing no questions, let's move on to just my other item, which is just a quick model update. Adam had asked that we provide a model update in each of our sessions going forward, and I just will provide a brief verbal update today. And then I'd also like to say that our chief modeler, Mike Maley, can provide at the board's discretion a very brief, just a few slides at the September meeting for the engineer's report, just to provide a visual and a brief update of that. So you can be thinking about that, and let me just quickly give you an update of where we are on model development. As you recall, we're using the USGS Antelope Valley model as the foundation for the Watermaster model. We've got historical data associated with that model, and we've used their most of their historical data, but we have done some adjustments based on all of the technical work that was done for the Phase 3 adjudication expert reports, such as the detailed assessment of inflow into the basin. We've developed our input files for the data that we have since the judgment from our now updated Watermaster database, and we're working on the available data of the intervening years between the model update, which was either 2005 or 2012, depending on which particular data set we're thinking about, and the first production reporting under the judgment, 2016. So it's just a time period there between the USGS data and some of the adjudication reporting, expert report data, and the 2016 data that we are evaluating how best to update the model in those intervening years. And we're in the process of doing that now. Our first phase of the model will definitely be completed by the end of the year, possibly sooner. And again, if you would like to see a couple of visuals, we won't take up a lot of the board's time, but it might be just helpful to get a quick update. And others may have comments on sort of how we're estimating some things, and it would provide a transparent process as we go through the development of this first phase of the model. So any questions on the model? And if you would like a September update, you can let me know.
I'm all for the update. I think it would be a good idea to have your modeler come and show us where he is and what he's doing. So I'm all for that.
This is Derek as well.
Yeah, I think the consensus, Phyllis, is you would all like to update everybody.
Thank you for the time. Glad to do it. We'll see you in September, and we'll put this as an item that we will provide in the engineer's update.
Thank you very much. And now we're on the General Counsel's report, Craig.
Yes, we have 3 matters that will be covered in closed session relating to enforcement of the judgment and obtaining outstanding costs and assessments that I'll cover at that time. We, of course, have filed the election results, the annual report this last month, and appeared this morning on a motion to intervene that was required of 40AA LLC. Beyond that, outside of the closed session, we are following up on a reporting of the potential of a water truck in an area of the adjudicated basin that may be taking water improperly. and we'll have a letter in the agenda next month what we sent to both the property owner and the business that appears to be operating in violation of the judgment. But the details of that will be in the board packet next month. Beyond that, there's nothing further to report. As noted, we've got 3 active items in the closed session.
Thank you, Chris. That brings us to item 17, public comment on the selection of the Antelope Watermaster Administrator. James, comments from the advisory committee? I know you guys have discussed this a little bit.
Hi, this is James. I don't have anything to report. There were some comments on the memo from, I believe, Mr. Richard Wood. So that's in your package to read. Besides that, I had nothing to add.
Thank you, James. And any public comments?
Chair Parris, if I may just add that there was an email that I sent out a couple days ago to each of the board members. There's a letter submitted by Chronic, Eric Robinson, on behalf of LA World Airports. So I just want to make sure everybody got that.
Yes, thanks, Matt. I got it.
Okay, great.
Should we express their one concern about the lack of
Transparency and
transparency because of the closed session?
yeah, right. But our attorney has indicated that this matter are best dealt with in closed session, and I happen to agree with that assessment.
Good morning, this is America.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up a little bit. It says Adrian. Oh, okay, Angelica, your sound is coming real scratchy. If there's anything you can do, it's hard to hear you. Go ahead.
I do have a comment, and I appreciate the board allowing the comment to be expressed. Well, I would like to begin by stating that the Watermaster board did an impressive and very innovative job by hiring Todd Engineering as the Watermaster engineer and Craig Parton as the general counsel. So I want to start with that. Both are highly experienced and with solid credentials. So pretty much the best of the best. And I assume that by no means was it an easy task when this happened, but the directors were able to reach a consensus. And at the end, the results have been very positive for all the stakeholders in the basin. So I would like to point out with that neither the Watermaster engineer nor the general counsel are local to the basin. That was not part of the board's consideration when it did include hire. So I really encourage the board to please use the same high standards as you did with the Watermaster engineer and general counsel when deciding who to hire for the new Watermaster administrator. And with that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Angelica. And I believe there's Mr. Vickery has a comment.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
We hear you very well, thank you.
Great. Yes, Matthew Vickery with Grimway Farms. On behalf of Grimway, back on July 15th, I sent a letter to the board with some considerations for the Watermaster Administrator interviews, and in furtheration, or to further that letter, I just wanted to highlight, as you can consider your choices, I think competence, a proven track record in this administrative role is probably the most important item you'll be looking at. That kind of piggybacks off of what Angelica was just sharing with us as well, and also the strength of their team and their ability to handle the task before this Watermaster. And also there was some talk in some previous meetings about potential conflicts between some of the candidates in this role, and I would encourage the board. I don't know all the details of what those conflicts are, but encourage this board to follow your legal counsel in his determinations on whether there's conflicts with those candidates. And lastly, while cost is important, no one wants to pay more than they have to. Cost shouldn't be the foremost consideration when it's at the expense of competence and their ability to execute the required job description, as well as being able to do so in an unbiased manner. So I wanted to highlight those comments in addition to the letter sent on July 15th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other public comments? John?
Yes.
Go ahead, sir.
John Eucasted, the Antelope Valley Mutual Group. I agree with the last two comments that were made by both Angelica, and I'm sorry, but I didn't recognize the last person, but I agree with him 100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, John. Any other comments?
This is Keith Lemieux. May I comment now?
Sure, Keith, go ahead.
I think you're about to hear more of the same. This is a rare moment where it sounds like we all agree on something, and that is that experience is important. I just want to add one more twist to it, which is you're going to be asking the new general manager to do quite a bit without a lot of financial resources to do all of it, and that's going to require efficiency, and you need to get efficiency from experience. So I would urge you again, like everybody else, to look for the experienced candidate here in order to get the most we can with a limited budget.
Thank you, Keith. Any other comments? Holly, do we have anybody putting in a request for comments for Patty? No? Okay. I want to thank you all for your comments. And that should take us to item 18, board members' requests for future agenda items. Any future agenda items?
Aside from the presentation on the model, I think we're good.
Great. Thank you, Adam. That brings us to 19, closed session. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So before we go into closed session, can we say bad things about John?
Yeah. Maybe this is the right.
Adam, you said bad things about me for 18 years. Technical limitations, man.
We may lose some of the public. So, Adam, go ahead.
Well, what I want to say, John, first of all, it was a pleasure to having known you at the Watermaster board. And I just want to let everybody know the first time that I saw John was at a very tense meeting at ABEC. This is before the settlement agreement was approved. And, you know, I was, as usual, a little bit more emotional and passionate about what I was doing and saying. And John, for whatever reason, whatever I said resonated with John real well. And John was basically agreeing with what I was saying and saying that, you know, we need to look at the whole division of the pie in an equitable way, and we don't want to screw anybody. I was super impressed with how he was and how he handled himself, because at that time, as you all know, there was a lot of friction between the landowners and public water suppliers and all that. And as we get to serve on this board, I think, John, you brought a lot of rational reasonableness. You're forthcoming. You're frank. I thought I was frank, but you're even more frank than I am. And I enjoyed immensely working with you, and I want to thank you and wish you the best. And thank you for your service on the board. I think you marked your past, at least with me, and for sure in the Antelope Valley, and we wish you all the best. So.
Okay, I think we're on closed session now. Is there a motion for us to go into closed session?
Rob, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but can I just, on behalf of the Watermaster engineer, I just can't pass up this opportunity to say that we have appreciated so much the support that John has provided, the Watermaster engineer, and he has done so by holding us accountable and by also being incredibly practical. And we really, really appreciate that support and admire him for his integrity and his service. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
And I just want to say, I learned a lot with you being on here, and even those tough decisions, I'll always remember how you said you would vote with us to keep the consensus, and that has meant so much in a lot of issues that, were hard issues to make. But you've always been open and willing to listen and really with your heart, give your heart to our community and your decisions you made to better our community. So thank you.
Thank you. I move that we go into closed session.
Motion made by John to go into closed session. Is there a second?
I second that.
Second by Kathy. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of the motion to go into closed session by roll call vote.
Director McLaren? Yes. Director Ariki?
Yes.
Director Calandri?
Yes.
Director Yurosek?
Yes.
And Director Parris?
Yes. Motion's carried unanimously. We will go into closed session in exactly 6 minutes at 11:05.
Right.
Yes, actually, I will invite Brandon to it. Ready for hanging around and waiting for us, and I will have our attorney Craig report out. If Craig is on the line.
Craig?
I'm sorry, I just gave an unbelievable presentation. There's nobody... I'm sorry. This is the report out on the closed session. As to items 19B, C, and D, there was no reportable action. With respect to item number 19A, the board voted unanimously to select the Hallmark Group as Watermaster Administrator, subject to executing an acceptable contract with the board in an amount not to exceed a negotiated sum and with an initial term of 1 year, and directs legal counsel to work with the Hallmark Group and the Administrative Committee to generate a draft contract for the board's review and approval. That's the report out, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Craig. And item 21 will be placed on the agenda for the next meeting. And 22, we're at adjournment. And finally, I do want to adjourn this meeting in honor of John Calandri, who was one of our charter members of the Watermaster Board and has served with great distinction and was a Parris advocate for his constituency and has helped us reach consensus on some very, very, very tough issues over the years. So, John, it's been a real honor to serve with you, and this meeting is going to be adjourned in your honor. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Hey, we'll get the major plot.